Kurt Vonnegut once said there's nothing intelligent to say about a massacre. But that didn't stop him from writing Slaughterhouse-Five, and it won't stop this review from trying to make sense of it either. Of course, sense is a relative concept when discussing a book where the protagonist is kidnapped by aliens, experiences time like a broken VHS tape, and sleepwalks through one of the worst war crimes in human history with all the enthusiasm of a sedated goldfish. So it goes. The novel follows Billy Pilgrim, an optometrist, a soldier, a time traveler, a zoo exhibit, a man perpetually confused by his own existence. Billy is, as Vonnegut puts it, unstuck in time. He jumps between past, present, and future with no control, one moment in a flaming Dresden, the next making awkward love to a porn star on an alien planet. Standard post-war experience. The book's first lesson, time is meaningless, events repeat, and trying to make sense of anything will only give you an aneurysm. And yet, despite, or maybe because of, its absurdity, Slaughterhouse-Five remains one of the most powerful anti-war novels ever written. It refuses to glamorize anything. There are no noble sacrifices, no patriotic speeches, no Band of Brothers-style camaraderie. Instead, we get the firebombing of Dresden, an event so horrifying that Vonnegut himself, a prisoner of war at the time, struggled for years to put it into words. When he finally did, he chose to tell it through Billy Pilgrim, a man so detached from reality he might as well be floating in a sensory deprivation tank. It's an approach that somehow makes the horror more real. Dresden burns, tens of thousands die, and Billy Pilgrim just keeps going, utterly powerless. A baby in a uniform, as Vonnegut reminds us again and again. And then there are the Tralfamadorians. 2-foot-tall green toilet plungers with a superior understanding of the universe. They don't see time as a straight line, but as a collection of moments happening all at once. To them, free will is a quaint human illusion, and death is just another moment. When someone dies, they simply shrug and say, "So it goes." It's the novel's most famous refrain, repeated after every mention of death, from massacred civilians to a bottle of champagne exploding prematurely. It's a catchphrase, a joke, a coping mechanism, and maybe a quiet scream into the void. Billy, ever the pliable man, adopts the Tralfamadorian worldview wholeheartedly. He no longer sees death as something tragic, just another moment to observe, like a particularly dull Tuesday. He tries to teach this philosophy to the world, much to the dismay of his daughter, Barbara, who spends half the book convinced her father has finally gone senile. And maybe he has. Or maybe he's just the only one who sees things clearly. The book is full of characters who are simultaneously ridiculous and devastating. Roland Weary, a delusional young soldier who fantasizes about his heroic wartime exploits, only to die of gangrene while clutching a photo of a woman and a Shetland pony in a compromising position. Edgar Derby, the only decent man in the whole story, executed for stealing a teapot in the ruins of a city where 25,000 people have just been incinerated. Kilgore Trout, the bitter, failed science fiction writer whose bizarre stories are read only by disinterested pawn shop customers. None of these characters are given heroic arcs. They exist, they suffer, they die, and the universe barely notices. The same way it barely notices Dresden, or Hiroshima, or Vietnam, or any of the other countless disasters that have unfolded since. Vonnegut knows there's no way to process that scale of destruction, so he doesn't try. He just tells the story in fragments, out of order, until the absurdity of it all speaks for itself. And through it all, Slaughterhouse-Five remains darkly, viciously funny. Not in a laugh-out-loud way, but in the way that makes you chuckle at the sheer cosmic ridiculousness of human existence. Like when Billy finds himself in the middle of the Battle of the Bulge dressed like a hobo on Laundry Day, or when the British POWs, immaculate and disciplined, take one look at the disheveled American prisoners and immediately assume they must be an elaborate joke, or when a dying soldier swears vengeance on Billy Pilgrim for an imagined slight, only to die from a minor wound and pure spite. At its core, the novel is about powerlessness. Billy Pilgrim doesn't fight, doesn't resist, doesn't make a grand stand. He drifts through life, tossed from moment to moment, because what choice does he have? Maybe he really is unstuck in time. Maybe he's just a man so traumatized that reality no longer makes sense. Maybe it doesn't matter because one way or another the war happened, Dresden burned, and the world kept turning. The beauty of Slaughterhouse-Five is that it isn't a conventional anti-war book. It doesn't rage against the machine, it doesn't demand justice, it doesn't call for change. It just points at the absurdity of it all and shrugs. Wars will continue. More cities will burn. More soldiers will die. Why don't you write an anti-glacier book instead? A filmmaker asks Vonnegut in the opening chapter. The joke, of course, is that we eventually figured out how to stop glaciers. But war? That one's still going. So it goes. Before we wrap up, here's something special, a song inspired by Slaughterhouse-Five. War, time, and fate collide in a haunting melody that echoes Billy Pilgrim's journey. So it goes. Enjoy.
Torn night, dressed in burns in pale firelight. A soldier lost a child in disguise, watching the world through hollow eyes.